I got this document from the Department of Defense, which is dated January 8th. This timeline is intended to memorialize the planning and execution efforts of the Department of Defense to address the violent attacks on the Capitol on January 6th, 2021. As I have reiterated many times, I was Army staff. I worked Army intelligence at a strategic level. You don't produce a document like this in 24 hours.
No, it's the same thing after 9/11 with the Patriot Act.
28 days.
That shit was already on
Two
somebody else's
departments,
desk.
a whole act ready to be signed, the whole 9 yards.
Well, I know this. I've seen a lot of the old declassified orders.
Yeah.
In regards to nuclear strikes on the United States, the drafting policies for new soldiers, the reactivation of retired, extending the age all the way up to fucking 60 for the draft. That is like a worst case scenario.
Yeah, that's worst case scenario.
Yeah,
that's happening in Ukraine right now.
Yeah.
The timeline, this is from DOD, January 8th, 2021. Thursday, December 31st, 2020, New Year's Eve. DC Mayor Muriel Bowser and Dr. Christopher Rodriguez, DC Director of Homeland Security and Emergency Management Agency, deliver a written report to the DC National Guard to support DC Metro Police and Fire and Emergency Services. Okay, that's fairly innocuous. You got the election coming up. Everybody knows this, or the inauguration coming up.
Correct.
On January 6th. This is reasonable. Acting Secretary of Defense confers with the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the Secretary of the Army on the Mayor's written request.
First of all, hang on.
I'm sorry.
The Secretary of the fucking Army?
The Joint Chiefs.
Yeah. You cannot. I'm sorry. You're not going to be able to get them to come on board that quickly without the president cracking the whip on them.
Why are we considering using the American military against American citizens on American soil on an inauguration day?
Yeah.
Joint Chiefs of Staff, for those of you who don't understand, that's lottie-dottie everybody. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard, actually.
And the Coasties, yeah.
And the Coasties. Very competent guys. I like the Coasties a lot.
I always rip on the Coasties, but they are proficient.
They're really good.
Yeah.
They're really good. Sunday, January 3rd, DOD confirms with Capitol Police that there is no request for DOD support. Okay, so they backed that off. Acting Secretary of Defense meets with cabinet members to discuss DOD support for law enforcement agencies and potential requirements for DOD support. They just said they didn't need DOD support. DOD keeps injecting themselves. Acting Secretary of Defense and Joint Chiefs of Staff meet with the President. President concurs in activation of the DC National Guard to support law enforcement.
Now, hang on. He offered them 10,000 National Guard troops, and they turned him down.
That's correct. Nancy Pelosi specifically turned him down.
And they chopped out part of that testimony where they had an actual witness say, no, Trump did offer 10,000 troops. So they're lying to us already en masse.
Yes.
Are we shocked here?
Here's the DOD orders for all of this stuff to get National Guard to support them.
Correct.
So all the way here to January 5th, Mayor Bowser delivers a letter addressed to the Acting Attorney General, Acting Secretary of Defense, and Secretary of the Army confirming there are no additional support requirements from DC. 255 National Guard arrive in DC and begin to manage traffic control points. Now we're using them.
Well, first of all, that 255, and now this is just rumor control, but that was already set in place.
Yes.
Like at least 90 days out.
That's normal to use them, though.
Yes.
But what didn't happen when the National Guard was offered up and they refused them, none of those troops came.
No. And in my opinion, they wanted January 6th to happen.
Absolutely wanted.
They wanted it to happen to be like some kind of event to try to get the people in the middle to come to their side. And I'm going to be honest, they're failing.
Yeah.
It's actually waking up more people that are moving towards the right.
Well, and it's totally not like Nancy Pelosi's daughter had a film crew following her and Pelosi the entire fucking day.
HBO film crew.
Yep.
Yeah.
How the fuck does that even happen?
That is absolutely correct. Now, having been in on planning, as a matter of fact, we were doing planning during this time. I had been doing planning the entire week prior to this event myself. all of our exit routes, where all of the hospitals were, where the police stations were, so we could get our people to cover and get them to security. We knew where a local helicopter pad was because General Flynn had access to that kind of asset. And any way to get our people to safety, I sat down with the heads of all of the different teams and planned every single escape route out of the city that we could get. We ended up using primary because it wasn't that bad before stuff kicked off, but we ended up using primary. Wednesday, January 6th, Acting Secretary of Defense and Joint Chiefs of Staff reviewed DoD plan to support law enforcement agencies. So at this point, you've got Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the Secretary of Defense and DoD sitting down, participating in tabletop exercises regarding DoD contingency emergency response operations. This is
it's a smoking gun.
Planned.
Yeah.
This document here tells me that they knew this kind of thing was going to go down. 2 reasons. Okay. They're tabletopping at 11:30 a.m., 3 hours before all of this really turns into a shit show. When do you tabletop?
2 or 3 weeks prior.
Way the fuck back here.
Yeah. Like, and
you're not tabletopping an hour before.
No, and you tabletop so you can get courses of action.
What this is them discussing what they're going to do.
Correct.
That's what this tabletop is. Because you don't run through possible contingency scenarios 2 hours before you go out the damn door.
Well, now hang on.
That is not a thing.
No, it's not a thing if you're fucking competent.
That's true.
I've seen some shitbag officers wait till the last minute and fuck it up 3 ways to Sunday.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, wait. There is one exception, one unit in one military. The fucking the fucking SAS and their napkins and felt tip markers.
Oh yeah, I've sat in a couple SAS briefings when I was in Iraq, and I'm like,
they're madmen.
Are you fucking crazy? That's it? That's your whole op order? Somebody's gonna die here.
All right, Tom, you're going that way here, and they'll literally felt pen on a piece of paper. And you, Harry, you take him over there and get the pinky over there with the 50 on it. All right, we good? Yeah, we're good. All right, off.
We'll go on my go.
That's it.
Yeah.
And the difference is they're that professional.
Yes.
They're really, really, really good. Anyway, for them to be tabletopping 2 hours for DoD and Joint Chiefs who are bureaucrats.
Correct.
To be tabletopping at that hour tells me that these were planned events and they were putting their pieces in place. Sec Army at 1334 hours, that's 134 for you Air Force personnel. Sec Army phone call with Mayor Bowser, in which Mayor Bowser communicates request for unspecified number of additional forces. She's got National Guard on hand. Why is she calling the Secretary of the Army? Commanding General DC of the DC National Guard. Walker phone call at 1349 hours.
Now, here's a question.
With Capitol Police Chief Sund. We communicated with Chief Sund as well.
How many guys are in the DC National Guard?
I believe it's 2 brigades.
I mean, that's a lot of motherfuckers for a small area like that. I'm just asking.
No, I get it. But they do use them for events, obviously.
Uh-huh.
And then you've got 3rd Infantry, who is the Tomb Guard and the President's bodyguard detail.
Yeah. But even here in Michigan, we've got maybe combat power, like maybe a regiment, if we're lucky.
Really, that small?
Yeah. Like they got rid of Company F425, my old airborne unit, because it was too expensive.
Okay.
And
DC, I believe, has 1 combat brigade with its support elements, and then 1 support brigade.
All right. Well, we'll have to
etc.
We'll have to look that up because I'm sure we can find a ballpark number.
Might be battalions. I could be wrong.
But
I know it's silly.
Michigan's got maybe 6 combat battalions.
Yeah, but we have 6,000 hunters or 6 billion hunters in the woods in the winter.
I know.
So this is the DoD's timeline. We got this
on the air. I mean, online.
Off of a security clearinghouse that has all the documents to it. And Jimmy, if you can throw the link up to this, the January 6th clearinghouse, it's got some really interesting documents in it. We just stumbled to that DoD thing and I started reading it and I realized that this was planned. A lot of this whole thing was planned.
Correct. Listen, when you look at the timeline, you can tell that they planned for this to happen. Because if they had got their 10,000, hell, even if they got 1,000 soldiers on board to surround the Capitol, none of this would have happened.
Yeah.
None of it.
Yep.
So I'm just saying.
Well, that and it's totally not like, they put up that entire whole fencing for the State of the Union when it wasn't needed.
Yeah. Because
the only people that were getting arrested was the Gold Star father of this Marine that was killed in the Afghanistan withdrawal. He was the only person arrested and charged.
So here's the thing with Bolshevik or totalitarian dictator type governments, and I will differentiate between the two. A Bolshevik government is a conglomerate government of a parliament, essentially. It is a group of 80 to 100 typically who rule by fiat, whereas a dictatorship obviously is just a single guy. They all have one thing in common, though. There is a high level of narcissism, a high level of paranoia, and a high level of psychopathy.
No. Yeah, Stalin didn't whack 1/3 of his military officers before World War II because they deserved it.
I don't know. I wasn't there. I couldn't tell you.
Basically, one of the main reasons Russia got his ass handed to him for the first 2.5 years of World War II.
Yeah.
Stalin had a bunch of his officers whacked
because they're paranoid.
Yeah, you said it right. Paranoia.
Yeah,
right there.
It's a key feature of governments like this, and we have seen it over and over again as they put up barricades and fences. When I was 7 years old, my parents took me on a school field trip. It was a school field trip that my parents went with to Washington, D.C. And I remember just walking through the Capitol and just walking through the Supreme Court and just walking through the Smithsonian. There were no barricades in the 70s. No. This didn't exist. None of this existed at all. This is a very recent turn of Bolshevik events.
Well, also, you went there with your mother and father.
Oh.
So what are we saying here?
Oh, yeah.
You destroy the family, you get a bunch of savages.
Yeah.
Now I see it.
Oh, that could be.
Yeah. That's why we have all that shit in place now.
It's
the felony factories.
That and the Bolsheviks. That doesn't
there's that, but the felony factories just keep dropping these pups that are going to wind up useful idiots or in prison.
Yeah. It's both of these are marbles in the same bag of marbles.
Yep. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of pieces to it, but these are all pieces of it. We've got this Bolshevism going on. We've got fatherless families. We have the products of fatherless families, the feral fornication trophies.
I like it. Feral fornication trophies.
Yeah.
Watch Grunt Speak live every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you want to join Pop for Supporters Sundays, go to redonkulous.com/donate and make a monthly pledge. A link is in the Meat Gazer box.